What's up, guys? We are back with a full slate of MLB action here on Sunday, May 26th. Guys, we had a big winning day there on Saturday. We went 5-1 overall. We nailed the San Francisco Giants plus 110. That one came through. The Atlanta-Pittsburgh under was good as gold. The Phillies, they made a late game surge there to cover that 1.5 or 2.5 if you went with that, so that one worked out. The Royals plus 100 came through in extra innings. We did lose the Angels plus 114. That one didn't come through. They did lose, I think, 4-3. They lost by 1 run in that game for sure, and we saw the Yankees plus 100. That one came through as well. 5-1, guys. We will definitely take that. Let's try and keep these rolling here heading into a full Sunday slate. First, do me a big favor and hit that like button. It's a great way to show some support for the channel and all the work we put in here every single day. If you're new, go ahead and subscribe. It's 100% free and can keep you from missing out on these picks. Our videos are sponsored by StumpTheSpread.com. Click the link in the description to go over there and join our free email list and check out our top confidence plays on all the major sports. Comment below with all the bets you're looking at today and we will give you our best advice on all of them. We respond to absolutely every single comment, so let us know anything you want to say about my picks, these videos, or anything you see here. As always, our final picks will be in the pinned comment down below. Now let's get into our first game of the day, guys. We got the Toronto Blue Jays taking on the Detroit Tigers. Toronto comes into this game still looking to, they're looking to break this little 2-game losing streak. They won game 1 of this series, lost the next 2. They just lost 2-1 yesterday, so that's not great. Losing on a 2-run home run, not an ideal situation for the Blue Jays. They're not having a great time right now at 23-28 on the season. Handing the ball in this game to Yusei Kikuchi, who's 2-4 on the year with a 2.64 ERA. Hasn't been getting a ton of run support, obviously. His last start was against the White Sox. He didn't look amazing, guys. I mean, he gave up 2 earned runs, 3 runs overall on 5 hits on 6 innings of work. So definitely not terrible, though. Not an awful outing. Not when you expect your team to lose 5-0, that's for sure. And man, this guy just gets absolutely no run support. It doesn't feel like he's seen his team go 0-5 over his last 5 starts, but man, the vast majority of that has not been his fault at all. The guy's been very, very good out there, but his offense not backing him up whatsoever. We do see Vladimir Guerrero Jr. up to almost batting 290 on the season, so that's nice, but overall this team is looking terrible at the plate. They've only scored 193 runs over the course of the season. That puts them in 27th place in the majors. They're 20th in the majors in team batting average. They're 14th in the majors in on-base percentage, so maybe there's still some hope for this offense, but guys, over the last 2 games, they've scored 1 and 2 runs respectively. Like after back-to-back games where they scored 9 runs, all of a sudden the offense is just back in the tank, and they're gonna have to score some runs here against the Tigers, who come into this game winning 2 in a row after dropping game 1 of this series. They've won the next 2. They are only 25-27 on the year, so not exactly gonna freak out about where the Tigers are at right now, but they're handing the ball in this one to Casey Mize, who's 1-3 on this season with a 4.57 ERA and coming off a terrible start against the Kansas City Royals where he went only 1 2/3 innings, gave up 9 hits, 6 earned runs. Absolute nightmare start for him, and he has not been finding a ton of success lately in terms of winning games, but he did have good starts there against the Miami Marlins and the Houston Astros. But before that, back on the 4th of this month, he got absolutely shelled by the New York Yankees. So this guy has definitely had his struggles this season, no doubt about it, and so have the Tigers. So has the Tigers offense. I mean, their leading batting average guy is hitting 234. Like, this is not a good offense, guys. 23rd in the majors in batting average, 25th in the majors in on base percentage. They're 20th in the majors in runs scored. Like, this is not not a team that we would look at as any sort of a plus offensive squad. And right now we see the odds makers pretty much agree with us in this game. We've got the Blue Jays at -125, the Tigers at +112, and we've got an over-under of 8 in this game. Guys, that's a kind of an interesting over-under number. I think we could shade a little bit towards the under in this game, but I also think the Blue Jays are in a decent spot to, make a little bounce back and get a win here. Mize hasn't looked great lately, and Kikuchi has been looking amazing all season long. The guy just gets no run support, so definitely think the under in this game could have some value, but I also think the Blue Jays are a decent spot in this game as well. I don't think either one of those plays is going to end up in the pinned comment, though. Next on the docket, guys, we've got the Atlanta Braves going on the road to take on the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Braves come into this game fresh off of losing the first 2 games of this series. They lost 11-5 in game 1, then 4-1 in game 2. We had the under in that game, so that will definitely work. The Braves are 29-20 on the season, handing the ball in this game to Chris Sale, who's been sailing right along this season, guys. He's 7-1 on the year with a 2.22 ERA, coming off a shutout performance against the San Diego Padres. He actually has not given up a run over his last 3 starts, and that's spanning a 6-inning start against the Red Sox, a 7-inning start against the Cubs where he only gave up 2 hits, and then a 7-inning start against the Padres his last time out. Dude is looking absolutely unhittable right now, looking like an absolute monster. The Braves offense, on the other hand, isn't looking that great. I mean, they did score 5 runs in game 1 of the series, but only 1 run yesterday, and only 3 runs in the last game of the series against the Cubs. Like, things just not looking that hot right now for the Braves offense. They're down to 14th in the majors in runs scored, 7th in the majors in on-base percentage, and 9th in batting average, so we do expect those runs run scored numbers to go back up eventually, but man, right now it has been a struggle at the plate for the Atlanta Braves, and they're taking on the Pirates, who come into this game 25-28 on the season, trying to, get back to 500 this year. It's been a little bit of a struggle for them. They're hitting the ball in this game to Martin Perez, who's 1-3 on the year with a 4.80 ERA, and he's coming off a pretty respectable start against the Giants if you take, like runs scored versus earned runs, like really into account. I mean, he gave up 4 runs, only 2 of them were earned. He only went 4 1/3 innings, so that's not great. He hasn't had too much luck in his last, we'll say probably 3 starts, at least, maybe more like 4. He gave at least 8 hits in 3 starts in a row, then gave up 5 hits and 4 runs against the Giants his last time out. This is not a pitcher we're super high on, guys. I mean, yeah. Just not super excited about him. Not super excited about the Pirates offense, despite the fact they did score 11 runs in game 1 of this series. This is not an elite offensive team. I mean, they're 20th in the majors in runs scored. They're 21st in on-base percentage. I don't think we're going to see this team keep scoring tons of numbers. I mean, yeah, good for them. They're having a little bit of a resurgence here, but I think the Pirates team that struggled in the middle of the season is much closer to what this squad actually is. I mean, they're 24th in batting average, 24th in slugging percentage, not an elite offensive team. And looking at the numbers, guys, we see the odds makers are definitely siding with the Braves in this game. We've got Atlanta at -210, the Pirates at +188. We've got over-unders in this game of 8.5 and 8. Guys, the under is looking pretty nice in this game. I mean, we see Atlanta is 30, 17, and 2 to the under. That's an MLB best number to the under this season. And Pittsburgh's a 500 over-under team. And yeah, I don't expect them to hit the ball, cover off the ball here against Chris Sale. So if you wanted to take the Braves in any fashion, I mean, Braves -210 or Braves against the run line or whatever, you definitely could. But I'm just going to go ahead and side with the under in this game, under the impression that Sale will have a great outing and that Perez will find a way to get some outs and not give up a ton of runs. Next on the docket, guys, we've got the Milwaukee Brewers going on the road to take on the Boston Red Sox. We've seen the Brewers win each of the first 2 games of the series. They won 7-2 in Game 1, 6-3 in Game 2, so they're cruising along right now, handing the ball to Tobias Myers, who's 1-2 on the season with a 5 ERA. He's coming off of a bullpen appearance where he looked pretty reasonable against the Marlins. He gave up 1 hit over 1 inning of work. In his start back on the 9th against the Cardinals, he looked pretty reasonable, not amazing. I mean, he gave up 1 run on 3 hits over 4 innings of work. He struck out 6 but walked 4 in that game, so definitely has some control issues to work on. This isn't a guy we're looking at as like a plus level starter right now, but he hasn't looked terrible, so we'll give him a little bit of credit here. There's a reason they've got enough faith here to start him in this game instead of keeping him in the bullpen, so he's definitely trending in at least a slightly positive direction, and the Brewers bats certainly are, guys. We're seeing them look very, very good right now. We saw Joey Ortiz hit a 2-run double to cap off a big 3rd inning for them. They ended up winning 6-3 in that game, so that has to feel good. They're 6th in the majors in runs scored. They're 6th in the majors as a team, hitting .255 overall. That's not bad. Their team slugging percentage is well over 400. They're getting on base at a 332 clip. This is a very, very good offensive team, and they're hoping they can keep things rolling here against the Red Sox, who've now lost 2 in a row. They're down to 26-26 on the season, handing the ball in this game to Tanner Houck, who's 4-5 on the year with a 1.94 ERA. His last time out, guys, he looked very good against the Tampa Bay Rays. He went 7 innings, gave only 2 hits and no runs. He struck out 5 and walked 1 in that game, so he looked very, very good. It was a bit of a bounce back after having 3 games in a row where he'd given up at least 3 runs, but yeah, in general, this guy's looked very, very good this season. He's had occasional control issues, but definitely somebody we can look at as a plus starter in this game. And the Red Sox, in general, their offense hasn't been looking too hot. I mean, they've scored 3 and 2 runs over their last couple of games, but this is looking like a slightly above average offensive team. They're not really on the Brewers level when it comes to run production and stuff like that, but this is a slightly above average offense. I don't think there's any way around that. They're tied for 12th in the majors in runs scored. They're 13th in the majors in on-base percentage. And while we're not super excited about any individual hitter for them right now, I mean, this is not a terrible offense. And looking at the numbers for this game, we see the odds makers are very high on Tanner Houck out there on the mound. They've got the Red Sox at -144, the Brewers at +122. We've got an over-under in this game of 9. Those numbers don't really make a crazy amount of sense to me, guys. I mean, if they think Houck's going to have such a dominant performance, why is the over-under 9 in this game? So that's a little bit odd to me, but the Brewers +122 is slightly appealing since they've been so good on the road. They're 18-12 on the road this season, and they've obviously been killing it in this series, but yeah, finishing off sweeps can be a little bit tough, and in general, this is kind of a tough game to figure out for me. I mean, Houck has looked good, but not amazing to me. So if you wanted to go ahead and side with the hot bats of the Brewers in this one, that can make some sense to me. If you wanted to take a little look at the under in this game, that could also make sense to me because we have some faith here in Tobias Myers. But just in general, guys, this is not going to be a game that we're going to be putting in the pinned comment or betting ourselves. Next on the docket, guys, we're looking at the Seattle Mariners going on the road to take on the Washington Nationals. The Mariners come into this game riding a 4-game losing streak now. They've lost each of the first 2 games of this series, scoring only a single run in each one of them, so that's not great. They're handing the ball to Brian Wu, hoping he can turn things around for them, as he has been absolutely lights out this season, guys. He's 2-0 with a 0.57 ERA through 3 starts. He shut down the New York Yankees his last time out, guys. Looked absolutely insane out there. 6 innings, 2 hits, 7 strikeouts, no runs, no walks. Just looked dominant. He's only given up a single earned run over 3 starts this year. Like, the guy is looking absolutely amazing here in the early goings, and we've seen Seattle win every game that he's pitched this year, so that has to feel pretty good. What probably doesn't feel good is the Mariners' bats right now. Not looking good at all. I mean, a grand total of 2 runs scored over their last 3 games. That is pretty pathetic. I mean, this offense not looking great. They're 28th in the majors in runs scored, 27th in batting average, 26th in on-base percentage. Like, this is just not a squad that I trust to put up a lot of offense. No way around that, and they're going to have to score some runs here against the Nationals, who come into this game looking a decent amount better. They're only 23 and 27 on the season, but definitely winning the first 2 games of this series has to feel pretty good for them and pretty good for us, as we've been on the Nationals pretty consistently here for a little bit. So looking at that, feels not too bad. They're handing the ball in this game to Mitchell Parker, who's off to a 3-2 start with a 3.32 ERA, so nothing to complain about there, really. I mean, his last time out, he did give up 3 earned runs on 7 hits to the Twins, but if you're going to give up only 3 earned runs in like pretty much every start, that's not a disaster. Obviously, it's not going to be great going up against a team like the Mariners in general, but the Nationals' bats have been decent lately, so they'll definitely take that. And in general, this guy, Mitchell Parker, he's looked pretty reasonable to me, and he's a young guy, definitely room to improve on his consistency, but regardless, we don't hate him out on the mound, and we don't really hate what we're seeing from the Nationals offense right now. I mean, they've been grinding it out against a very good pitching team. They've scored 6 and 3 runs in the first 2 games of this series, respectively. They're 25th in the majors in runs scored, 25th in the majors in batting average. Like, this is going to be a below average offense. There's no way around that, but if they can claw their way up to around 20th in the majors in a lot of these categories, they're going to win some runs, because they've been pitching pretty well lately. And looking at the numbers for this game, guys, it's a little bit I'm not going to say concerning. I'm a little bit surprised to see the Mariners at minus 164, although Wu has looked absolutely insane out there, so I guess that makes sense to me. But the number that's the most confusing to me in this game is an over-under of 9. Guys, we see Seattle is 30, 20, and 3 to the under this season. We see Washington is 27, 20, and 3 to the under. Neither one of these offenses are amazing. Both of these starters are very, very good. Guys, we are going to be hammering it here on the under 9 in this game. I think this could end up possibly being one of our bigger bets of the day. I know over-unders aren't everybody's favorite thing to bet on, but man, this just feels like way too good of a spot to pass up to me. Next on the docket, guys, we're looking at the Kansas City Royals going on the road to take on the Tampa Bay Rays. The Royals have looked dominant so far in this series, winning 2 in a row. They won 7-4 yesterday, 8-1 the day before that, and they are just absolutely cruising along right now. They're 34 and 19 on the season, pressuring the Guardians for the first spot in the AL Central, and they're just looking amazing. Handing the ball in this game to Michael Wacha, who's 4-4 on the year with a 4.45 ERA, and coming off a very good start against the Detroit Tigers his last time out. He went 7 innings, gave up 6 hits, surrendered only 2 runs. He did give up a home run in that game, and he only struck out 3, but he looked very, very good. And he's actually looked very good over, we'll say, at least his last 3 starts here. I mean, since getting shelled by the Texas Rangers to kind of start this month off, he's looked very, very good the rest of May, and he's looking to cap it off with a very good start here. I mean, I guess he'll have one more start in May, but still, the dude is throwing the ball well right now, and the Royals offense is just pounding it. They've scored 7, 8, 8, 10, 8, 8, and 5 runs over their last, 7 games? Like, they are killing the ball right now. Not an offense that I thought was going to be a top 10 offense in the majors, and right now they're kind of looking like they are. Will they stay there? That seems like a bit of a big ask to me, but right now they're 4th in runs scored in the majors, 7th in the majors in batting average, hitting .252 as a team. Their slugging percentage has them 7th in the majors with a slugging percentage of .411. Like, this team can absolutely hit the ball right now. They are smashing it and hoping they can keep smashing it here against the Tampa Bay Rays, who not having a great time. They've now lost 6 in a row. They just had to put low on the 10-day IL for an oblique strain, so who knows when he'll be back. Obliques can be a tricky thing, and they're hitting the ball in this game to Taj Bradley, who's 1-2 on the season with a 4.00 ERA, and he's only making his 4th start of the year. His last time out, he looked bad against the Red Sox. He went 7 innings, so that's great, but he gave up 5 earned runs, 2 home runs in that outing. He did strike out 10, so like we can tell the guy has good stuff, but yeah, first 2 starts of the year, very good. Last start, not so great, like not looking elite at all, and it's still in the early going, so we'll cut the guy some slack, but what can we expect to see from him against a very hot-hitting opponent today? Kind of tough to tell. What do we expect from the Rays offense right now? To be honest, guys, not a lot. This team has not looked good at the plate lately. I mean, over their last, we'll look at their last like 4 or 5 games, they've scored 4, 1, 5, 2, and 0 runs. Yeah, that is not great. Not great stuff at all. They're down to 22nd in the majors in runs scored, 18th in the majors, batting .237 as a squad. Their slugging percentage is terrible, and it's been terrible all season long, guys. They're 28th in the majors with a slugging percentage of .356. Like, just not very good, not very high on this offense. And looking at the numbers for this game, we see the odds makers somehow have the Royals at plus 105. I guess they just really hate Waka in this spot, which maybe I can't fault them too much for that. And they've got a lot of faith here in Taj Bradley as the Rays are minus 118. We see an over-under of 8 in this game. Guys, I'm not sure if it's going to end up in the pinned comment again in this one, but I'm definitely leaning towards the Kansas City Royals. They're just swinging some very hot bats right now. Taj Bradley, while he's in a bounce back spot, has not been throwing the ball great, or at least didn't in his last start. And the Royals bats are looking super hot. Waka's been looking good lately, so getting the Royals at plus 105 seems pretty nice. Will this end up in the pinned comment? I'm not sure, not confident yet. You'll have to just check down there and see, but it definitely has something of a shot. Next up, guys, we've got everybody's least favorite team in the majors, it seems like right now, the Los Angeles Dodgers. They are now 33-21 on the season after losing 2 in a row to open this series to the Cincinnati Reds. Not exactly what people saw coming here. The Dodgers have now lost 4 games in a row, so that's not great. They're hitting the ball in this one to Yoshinobu Yamamoto. He's 5-1 in the year with a 3.17 ERA and coming off of a very good start against the Diamondbacks where he went 6 1/3 innings, gave up 2 earned runs on 7 hits, and struck out 8. He's looked very good in general this season. He did have a kind of questionable start against the Giants, but overall the guy has looked very, very good. The problem right now for the Dodgers has been their offense. I mean, they scored 1, 6, and 0 runs over their last 3. Like, this is supposed to be the best offense in the majors, and they have fallen off a cliff all of a sudden. They're still second in the majors in runs scored, but they're all the way down to 5th in team batting average. Like, we've seen Ohtani, he's dealing with a bruised hamstring, so we don't even know if he's going to play in this game. Like, got a lot of questions here about the Dodgers and just how they're looking. They don't seem like they're playing with a ton of motivation right now, and obviously they're going to want to avoid losing a 3rd straight game against the Reds, but man, can they really even control their own destiny at this point? It feels like they're just hopeless up there right now. It's very weird days for the Dodgers right now. Obviously they're going to be one of the best teams in baseball when it's all said and done, but right now, not looking so hot. Taking on the Cincinnati Reds, who've now won 2 in a row, but they're only 22-30 on the season, so not exactly an amazing team. They're handing the ball in this one to Brent Suter. He is going to be making, let's see, his 2nd start of the year, I believe. I mean, he started a game against the Dodgers, but it was a really weird one. He only went 2/3 of an inning in that one. The guy hasn't went more than an inning in any of his last 5 appearances, so not somebody we expect to go deep into this game. And while he's looked very good out of the bullpen, like, I'm going to give him a decent amount of credit. He does have an ERA of 4.13, so that's not incredible. He's gotten knocked around at some point. It's been a while ago now, but recently he's looked good, but this isn't a starter that we have a ton of faith in, and we also don't have a ton of faith in the Reds offense. They only scored 3 runs in their last game, 9 in the game before that, which is pretty impressive. But yeah, overall, this is not a great offensive team, guys. They're 19th in the majors in runs scored, dead last in the majors, batting .215 as a team. Close to dead last in the majors in on-base percentage, getting on base at under a 300 clip. Like, just not a good offensive team at all. So we're not about to overreact to things here, guys. Definitely looking at the Dodgers in this one. I don't know if I'm feeling like taking them minus 210, but this isn't going to be a pinned comment play for sure. Like, I'm not super high on them, but I don't think we have to worry too much about Yamamoto. I think he'll be good out there. I don't think the Reds will continue to hit the ball well, so definitely leaning pretty aggressively towards the Dodgers here. But yeah, not going to put this in the pinned comment until we see something positive from the Dodgers, as they've been an absolute mess here lately. Next on the docket, guys, we got the San Francisco Giants going on the road to take on the New York Mets. The Giants came through for us again. They ended up winning their last one 7-2, so that feels pretty good. They're 27-26 on the season, which maybe isn't amazing, but they've now won 8 of their last 9 games overall, and they're on a 4-game winning streak. Handing the ball in this one to Logan Webb, who's 4-4 in the year with a 3.03 ERA, coming off a very good start against the Pittsburgh Pirates. He went 6 innings, gave up 2 earned runs on 6 hits while striking out 6, so looked pretty good there. And his start before that against the Dodgers was very good. He gave it 3 hits and no runs over 6 innings. The guy has looked absolutely lights out over at least his last 3 starts, and just in general, this season has been very good. The Giants' offense is coming alive now, guys. Over their last 4 games, they scored 7, 8, 7, and 9 runs, respectively. Like, looking very good up there on the plate. They're now up to 12th in the majors in runs scored with 227 runs scored this season. 8th in the majors in on-base percentage and batting average. Like, this team is trending in a very positive direction offensively, and they're hoping they can keep that going here against the Mets, who have happened upon some hard times, guys. They've now lost 5 games in a row. Things are looking pretty tough for them. They're handing the ball in this game to Sean Manaea, who is 3-1 on the year with a 3.11 ERA. So the dude's been looking very good this season in general and very good lately. I mean, over his last 5 starts, we've actually seen the Mets go 4-1, which is pretty impressive. And yeah, he's just looked very, very good. He even had a start against the Giants back on the 24th of last month where he didn't give up any runs. He went 4 2/3 innings. He did walk 4 in that outing, but he hasn't had any control issues lately. And he even had a very good start against the Phillies. So the dude is looking very, very good right now. No way around that. The Mets offense, on the other hand, isn't looking great. I mean, they scored 2, 7, 3, 6. Like, they're not looking terrible, but they're not looking great. This is basically an average offense, or maybe slight below average. I mean, they're 18th in the majors in runs scored, 15th in the majors in on-base percentage. They are 17th in the majors, only batting .238 as a team, so that's obviously not great. We do see Alvarez progressing towards, being ready to come back after his thumb injury, but this team has a long way to go to get back to 100%. And yeah, guys, just not too high on the Mets right now. I mean, looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Giants are -120, the Mets are +102. Obviously, the Giants are by far the hotter team in this matchup, but I don't know if we have enough faith to put them in the pinned comment in this game necessarily. I mean, Manaea has been very good lately and has some solid history against his opponent in this game. And we see Logan Webb, he's been good this season for sure. And his start against the Mets was dominant back on the 23rd of last month. He went 8 innings, gave up no runs, 6 hits allowed in that game. Like, he looked very, very good. So I think we can expect good things from both pitchers in this game. There's a reason the over-under in this one is only 7. We do see both teams showing very slight trends towards the over, but definitely not interested in the over in this game. If you're forcing me to bet this one, I'll take the Giants as the hotter team, but Manaea has looked so good, there's no way I'm going to be able to put this one in the pinned comments. So give me the Giants, I guess, as a small lean, but I think this is going to be a very close game. And if you wanted to take the under with both starting pitchers looking good, I guess you could, but yeah, in general, this one is too close to call for me. I'm not going to really be on either side. Next on the docket, guys, we've got the Baltimore Orioles going on the road to take on the Chicago White Sox. The Orioles continue to take care of business here in this series. They really needed a bounce back from that weird Cardinals series, and they've looked great here against the White Sox, winning 8-6 in Game 1, 6-4 in Game 2, and 5-3 in Game 3. They're handing the ball in this one to Kyle Brandish, who's got a 2.41 ERA, but hasn't figured in a result yet this season. He's going to be making his 5th start of the year. He absolutely dominated the Cardinals his last time out. He went 5 innings, gave up only a single earned run while striking out 6. He hasn't been going deep into games, but he has yet to allow more than 2 runs in any of his starts this season, and that includes outings against the Yankees, the Nationals, the Blue Jays, and the Cardinals. So he's looked very good. We've also seen the Orioles go 3-1 in his starts this season. And in general, the Orioles are a very good offensive team, as you can see from the numbers they've put up in this series. And their numbers overall, guys, they're 7th in the majors in runs scored, 2nd in the majors in slugging percentage. They're slugging the ball at a .435 clip. That's pretty respectable. They are only 24th in the majors in on-base percentage. That's what's really holding their offense back. They're not a great on-base percentage team, but in general, this is a very good offensive team and can feel good going up against a White Sox squad that's only 15-38 on the season and has lost 4 in a row. They are handing the ball in this game to Garrett Crochet, who's had his moments this season. He's 5-4 overall with a 3.75 ERA, and guys, he hasn't given up a run over his last 3 starts. He shut out the Toronto Blue Jays, 6 innings, 2 hits in that outing. He shut out the Nationals, 5 innings, 3 hits in that outing, and he dominated the Cleveland Guardians, guys. He went 6 innings, gave up 5 hits, and struck out 11 back on the 10th of this month. Like, the dude is very, very good. Crochet is looking dominant right now, and dominant is what you have to be to get wins as a Chicago White Sox pitcher, as this is one of the, or actually not one of the guys, this is the worst offense in the majors right now. They're dead last in runs scored. They've only scored 153 runs this season through over 50 games. Like, that's pretty embarrassing stuff, guys. This is a terrible, terrible offensive team. Not going to spend a whole bunch of time talking about that, as everybody has to know that at this point. This is a very bad offense, and the odds makers, they're not going that hard against them. I mean, this is the effect of having Crochet on the mound. We see the Orioles at -160, the White Sox at +140, and we got an over-under in this game of only 7. Guys, if you wanted to lean slightly towards the over, I guess you could, just because it's such a small number, but I won't be doing that. Instead, I'm going to be leaning slightly here towards the Orioles -160, but this is not a game I'm interested in, guys. I don't trust the Orioles here against Crochet. I don't trust anyone against Crochet with how good he's looked lately, but I also don't trust the White Sox to be able to put up any runs in support of him. So yeah, I guess if you're forcing me to bet this game, give me the Orioles -160. Maybe they can get to the White Sox bullpen, but in general, this is going to be another game that I'm going to be primarily staying away from. Next up, guys, we're looking at the Philadelphia Phillies going on the road to take on the Colorado Rockies. It did take kind of a late game surge there, but the Phillies got the job done against Colorado in Game 2 of this series, winning 8-4. A big bounce back after a weird 3-2 loss in Game 1, and it seems like the Phillies are back on track now, guys. We saw Bryce Harper hit a 3-run home run in a 6-run ninth inning there for the Phillies, so they came through for us in a big way to come away with that win and kind of got the monkey off their back with the struggles they've had in Colorado kind of over the last several seasons. It feels like I've heard some very long-term trends there down in the comments about how bad the Phillies have been playing in Coors Field, but seems like they got back on track in this one, and they're handing the ball in this game to Ranger Suarez, who's been on track all season long. The dude is 9-0 on the season with a 1.36 ERA. He was dominant against the Rangers his last time out. He went 7 innings, gave only a single earned run on 5 hits. He struck out 10 in that game and walked only 2. Yeah, the guy's looking absolutely insane, guys. It's Ranger Suarez time. He is looking absolutely incredible, and the Phillies' offense is looking good again. I mean, scoring 8 runs in this game. They've comfortably been one of the best offenses in the majors. They're first in runs scored this year so far with 279 runs scored, second in batting average, batting nearly 260 as a team, third in on-base percentage, getting on base at a 336 clip, and their slugging percentage is climbing, guys. They're slugging the ball at a 419 mark. Like, this is an absolutely elite offensive team. No way around it. They're looking incredible right now, and they're going up against a Rockies team that isn't looking so hot. They're only 17-34 on the season. Handing the ball in this one to Cal Quantrill, who's 3-3 on the year with a 3.59 ERA, and he's coming off some very good starts, guys. Honestly, his last 4 starts have all been very, very good, but when you look at the teams he's faced the Pirates, the Giants, the Padres, who have been a decent hitting team at times this season, but not overall, and then his last start against the Oakland A's back on the 21st, he went 6 innings, gave up 2 earned runs on 3 hits. He struck out 8 and walked 1, so Quantrill has definitely looked good recently. No way around that, but he also hasn't been facing anybody that's like the caliber of this Phillies team. He faced the Phillies back on the 15th of last month, and he did look good, guys. He gave up 4 hits over 6 innings and only a single earned run, so definitely a solid start from him there against a very good hitting team, but will he fare the same against the Phillies in this one? It's a little bit tough to tell. What kind of run support is he going to get? That's another thing that's kind of hard to figure out. I mean, this Rockies team hasn't been terrible. They are 10th in the majors in batting average, but they're 20th in on-base percentage, 23rd in runs scored. They are coming off a game where they scored 4 runs, so that's not terrible. They had a game where they scored 9 runs, but still lost against the A's, so not really looking at this squad as an elite team, but we're not really super high on the Phillies like the odds makers are. I mean, the Phillies are minus 220. The Rockies are plus 200. We see an over-under in this game of 10. Guys, if you want to take the Phillies minus 1.5, which is what I feel like you have to do to get the value here, I mean, you get them minus 1.5, you get them at minus 140. That seems a little bit steep to me. The Phillies are 15-7 on the road, so we're definitely going to be leaning towards the Phillies minus 1.5 in this game. Is this going to make it into the pinned comment, though? It seems like a bit of a long shot, even with Suarez out on the mound. This is kind of a tough-looking spot for me, and Quantrill out there on the mound has been very, very good. I think we'd be leaning towards the Phillies having to take advantage of the Rockies' bullpen to cover this number, so that's always a little bit sketch. So we'll just have to wait and see if this makes it into our pinned comment. Next up, guys, we got the Cleveland Guardians going on the road to take on the Los Angeles Angels. We saw Cleveland come through and get the 4-3 win there in Game 2, so they're looking very, very good. Continuing that winning streak, they've now won 8 in a row. They're handing the ball in this game to Ben Lively, who's 3-2 on the season with a 2.84 ERA and looked good his last time out against the Mets. He did give up 6 hits, but only a single earned run, and he's looked very good in general over his last 5 starts. He had a start against the Angels back on the 4th where he went 6 innings, gave up 4 hits, and only a single earned run, so that's definitely something positive to look at in this game. And yeah, the Cleveland offense in general has looked decent, borderline elite lately. I mean, they've scored 4, 10, 6, and 7 runs over their last 4, so that's all very, very positive. They're hanging on to that 5th spot in the majors in terms of runs scored. They are down to 16th in the majors in batting average, which isn't amazing, but they're 11th in on-base percentage, and their slugging percentage numbers are pretty good as well, so this is definitely a team we can look at as a plus offensive squad, and they're taking on an Angels team who is 20-32 on the season and coming off of back-to-back losses. They've lost 3 out of their last 4, and yeah, not a ton of positives to report for them. They're handing the ball in this game to Reed Detmers, who's 3-4 in the year with a 5.80 ERA, and coming off an outing where he got absolutely just knocked around by the Houston Astros. He gave up 8 hits and 6 earned runs and 2 home runs over only 4 innings of work. Not amazing. Also, his last time out against Cleveland, guys, he got knocked around back on the 4th. He gave up 7 earned runs on 5 hits. He gave up 3 home runs in that outing. Like, he cannot be very excited to be taking on the Guardians again. And the Angels' offense hasn't looked amazing. They've scored 3, 4, 2, 5. Like, not amazing numbers, not terrible. Like, this is about a league average offensive team, which is impressive that they were able to hang on to that with Mike Trout out. But yeah, I'm not really too scared of this offense, guys. They are, pretty middle of the road, and they're going up against a starter who dominated them the last time. So I'm very surprised to see the numbers for this game, guys. We've got Cleveland at -116, the Angels at +100. We've got an over/under of 8.5. We see that Cleveland is 16-11 on the road this season. The Angels are 6-17 at home. Guys, go ahead and give me the Cleveland Guardians -116. I feel like this is a great spot. We've got pitchers who, like, we've got Ben Lively for the Guardians, who looked very good against the Angels. We've got Detmers for the Angels, who looked very bad against the Guardians. Like, give me the Guardians -116 in this one. This game has a very solid chance to be my biggest bet of the day. Next up, guys, we're looking at the Houston Astros going on the road to take on the Oakland A's. The Astros come into this one fresh off of a 3-1 loss in Game 2 of this series, so that can't feel great. They're only 23-29 on the season, not where they were planning to be, and they're handing the ball in this game to Ronel Blanco, who just came off of that suspension there for having a foreign substance on his hand, so he'll be back for this one. He's 4-0 on the season with a 2.09 ERA, and he's looked very, very good this year. I mean, he was throwing the ball great against the A's back when he got suspended, so I guess whatever sticky substance he was using, he's going to need to either stop using that or come up with something that's a little less sticky and a little less detectable, because that's not great, guys. You don't want to be getting suspended, don't want to be getting thrown out of games for stuff like that. Not a great look, but in general, the guys looked very, very good this season, so we'll cut him a little bit of slack. How much of that had to do with how much sticky stuff he had in his glove, we'll just have to wait and see. The Astros come into this game obviously not hitting the ball great. They only scored 1 run yesterday, so that's not amazing, but this should be a better offense than they kind of have been in general this season. I mean, they're 10th in the majors in runs scored, 5th in on-base percentage, 4th in slugging percentage with a slugging percentage of .426. They're still hanging on to that top spot in terms of team batting average. They're hitting .265 as a team. Like, this is an offense that should be able to put together some runs one way or the other, and they're hoping they can do that against the Athletics, who are only 22-32 on the season, handing the ball in this game to Aaron Brooks, who's 0-1 on the year with a 4.15 ERA. He's making only his 3rd start of the year. He had a start against the Astros back on the 15th where he went 7 innings, but he did give up 7 hits and 3 earned runs in that outing. He didn't give up a home run, but guys, he didn't look nearly as good in his next outing against the Colorado Rockies. He gave up 2 home runs, 6 innings, 6 hits, 3 earned runs. Like, not great. Not great at all. We're not super high on this guy. Not looking at him as a plus starter, especially going up against a team his 2nd time in a row after not having like an amazing outing against them his 1st time. And the A's bats haven't looked great. I mean, they did score 3 runs in their last game, but only 3 in the game before that. So not ideal. This team is 24th in the majors in runs scored, 27th in the majors, getting on base at a .297 clip. Guys, when your on-base percentage starts with a 2, not a good sign of you being a good offense. They're also 28th in the majors in team batting average. Like, once again, not great. And looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the Astros at -162, the A's at +145, and we see an over-under in this game of 9. Guys, I like the Astros in this spot a good amount. Am I brave enough to take them against the run line? Not really sure about that. Blanco with no sticky stuff on his glove is a little bit of a question mark for me, but I definitely think the Astros -162 are in a pretty reasonable spot. I think they'll find a way to win this game, bounce back and win this game after not a great showing yesterday. Rounding into the home stretch here, guys, we're looking at the New York Yankees going on the road to take on the San Diego Padres. The Yankees come into this game fresh off of another win. They now won the first 2 games of this series. They won the last 2 of their series against the Mariners, so that'll put them on a 4-game winning streak. We saw Aaron Judge homer again in their last game, so now he's hit a homer in his 4th straight game, so that has to feel pretty good. The Yankees are 37-17 on the year, which obviously is going to feel great for them. They're handing the ball in this one to Clark Schmidt, who's 5-2 on the season with a 2.59 ERA, looking like a monster out there. He did give up 2 earned runs on 5 innings his last time out, but I mean, he only surrendered 4 hits to the Mariners there. He gave up a home run, which isn't great, obviously. Like, not going to cut him too much slack there, but overall this season he's looked very, very good. He hasn't given up more than 3 earned runs over any of his last 5 starts. He had an 8-inning outing there against the Twins back on the 16th, so the dude has looked very good and capable of going deep into games, so definitely excited to have him on the mound and excited about the Yankees offense. I mean, they've scored 4, 8, 5, and 7 runs over their last 4. We see everybody hitting the cover off the ball right now. I mean, this team is just cruising right along. 3rd in the majors in runs scored, 3rd in the majors in batting average. This is an elite offensive team. They're 1st in on-base percentage and 1st in slugging percentage in the majors overall. They're taking on a Padres team who has to be a little bit frustrated right now. They've dropped 4 of their last 6 games overall, which isn't great. They're 27-28 on the season, which is also not great. Handing the ball in this game to Joe Musgrove, which once again, guys, probably does not feel great. Musgrove is 3-4 in the season with a 6.14 ERA. He is coming off of a couple of relatively okay starts. Something must have happened with the weather back on the 21st. I can't remember that start exactly, but he only went 3 innings, gave up 3 hits, 2 runs, one of which was earned. His start before that against the Reds was pretty good, but his start against the Phillies back on the 26th was a disaster. He gave up 8 hits, 7 earned runs over only 3 2/3. So this dude's ability against elite opponents doesn't seem exactly up to par to me. And the Padres offense has definitely not looked up to par. I mean, somehow they're still top 10 in most of the major categories, but things are not looking great, guys. They scored 1 and 0 runs over the course of this series so far. Not looking very good. The fact that they were able to pile up some runs against the Reds isn't exactly going to thrill me. And look at the numbers for this game, guys. We see the Yankees at only minus 120. Is this a trap? Guys, I'm going to be on the Yankees in this game for sure. I mean, the Padres at plus 106, no appeal to me there. Not interested in the over-under. We see the Yankees are 18-9 on the road. Another positive trend for this game. The Padres are only 10-16 at home, so not a great home team at all. Give me the Yankees minus 120. I think Clark Schmidt is definitely a plus-level starter, and I have some definite questions about Musgrove, so I think this is another very good spot here for the New York Yankees. Last but not least here, guys, we're looking at the Chicago Cubs going on the road to take on the St. Louis Cardinals. The Cubs took the 7-6 loss thanks to a Cardinal rally in the 8th inning there in Game 2 of this series after Game 1 was postponed. The Cubs are handing the ball in this one to Javier Assad, who's 4-0 on the season with a 1.70 ERA, so looking very good out there in general. His last start, maybe not his best start though, guys. He only went 4 2/3 against the Braves, gave up 4 hits, 3 runs, 2 of which were earned. He gave up 2 home runs in that game, and he walked 5, like clearly having some control issues, leaving some balls out there across the plate and giving up some walks. So he didn't look amazing. He's in something of a bounce back spot against a pretty weak hitting opponent in general, or at least in general this season, but maybe not so much lately. The Cubs overall haven't looked great. I mean, they've lost their last 3 in a row, and 4 of their last 5 overall. They're down to 27-25 on the season, so also not great. Definitely not a team that's trending in a positive direction offensively right now. They're 26th in the majors in batting average, hitting only 225 as a team. 16th in on base percentage. Like, just not a team that's really seeming like they're putting it all together right now, and kind of the opposite of what the Cardinals are doing right now. I mean, everything seems to be breaking the right way for St. Louis. They just made that big comeback. We saw a Lars Nootbaar triple. That's pretty cool. Like, this team, 24-26 on the season after looking like they were going to be folding and things were going to be ending for them. I mean, they're not really up there with Milwaukee in the the race for the NL Central, but looking good right now, and they have to be pumped to be handing the ball to Sonny Gray, who got back on track his last time out. The dude is 6-2 on the season with a 2.87 ERA, and just looked very, very good out there against the Orioles. He gave up only a single earned run. He did give up a home run, so it wasn't great, but he looked lights out over the vast majority of that start, guys. I mean, 5 2/3, struck out 6 in that game. Like, he seems to be back on track after a couple of tough outings there where his routine got a little bit disrupted, but regardless, he's looking very, very good in this game lately, so he should be in a good spot here going up against the Cubs. And the Cardinals' bats have definitely come alive over their last 4 games. They scored 7, 5, 3, and 6 runs, which is great given that this team was looking like one of the worst offenses in the majors at different points there for a bit. I mean, they're 18th in on-base percentage and 22nd in batting average now. I don't think they're going to be 29th in the majors in runs scored for much longer, so definitely happy with the direction the Cardinals are trending in right now. And looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the Cubs at plus 118, the Cardinals at minus 135, and we've got an over-under in this game of 7.5. Guys, I don't think this is going to make it into the pin comment necessarily, but we are going to ride the hot team in this one. I think Assad is due for something of a questionable start, and I'm very high on the way Sonny Gray is looking right now. So go ahead and give me the Cardinals minus 135 as a small lean. This is an outside chance to maybe end up in the pin comment, but most likely we're just going to put a little bit on this game and then sit back and watch Sunday Night Baseball and see what unravels here, see what we get. We're going to have just a slight lean here on the Cardinals. That's all the games we have for today, guys. Hit that like button for good luck on all of your bets and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Let me know in the comments any questions you have on today's slate. Thanks for watching. You can click the link in the description to check out stumpthespread.com, and we'll see you guys tomorrow for more sports betting action.